Democracy in Hong Kong! Democracy in Hong Kong! Democracy in Hong Kong! Democracy in Hong Kong!
Christianity versus Communist China. At least 3 of the founders of the democracy protests in Hong Kong are Christian, including the 17-year-old leader of a student group and 2 of the 3 heads of Occupy Central. That's where the umbrella revolution is. One of the founders is a minister, and the city's former Catholic bishop is also a vocal supporter. Churches are deeply embedded in the fabric of Hong Kong society, in contrast to mainland China, where religion is strictly controlled. Today, protesters are allowing government workers to return to their headquarters, but some demonstrators have ignored the chief executive's call to disperse. Mike Gonzalez, a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation, joins me now from Washington to discuss the latest. Mr. Gonzalez, how important is Christianity in this movement? Is it just a coincidence that so many of the democracy leaders happen to be Christian in a part of the world where Christians are a minority? Or do you think that is one of their animating characteristics, their spirit and their belief?
No, yeah, it's very much the latter. It definitely animates their cry for freedom. One of the reasons why Hong Kongers are demonstrating is because they fear the increasing takeover of China. They have fought off attempts to change their school curriculum, and the next thing they think is going to be the strict control that China has over religion in mainland China, over 1.3 billion people. So the 7 million people of Hong Kong fear that they're going to have the same problem. For example, in China, you cannot really be a Roman Catholic. What you have is a Catholic Patriotic Association, which appoints bishops that are not recognized by the Vatican. This creates a lot of friction, and it creates a lot of underground churches that are very persecuted. Hong Kong does not want this, and the leadership, not just the 3 you mentioned, but many of the older leaders, as Martin Lee himself, Jimmy Lai, the owner of a newspaper chain, they're all strong Christians, both Catholic and Protestant.
Now, has there been, is that just a premonition that these people have? I mean, the nominal cause of these protests is the decision by Beijing to select the short list of candidates from which Hong Kong people can vote. An earlier complaint was over the pro-Chinese propaganda that was going to be taught in the curriculum. Has there been any early warning signs that Hong Kong's freedom of religion would be the next thing on the chopping block, or is that just common sense intuition? Have we had any evidence of this extrinsically?
Well, I mean, the attempts at propaganda in 2012, just 2 short years ago that you just mentioned, is one of them. And the protesters then, about almost 100,000 of them, beat back this attempt at brainwashing young students from the beginning, teaching them that the Communist Party was wise, that it was a much better adjudicator of society than the messy American-style democracy where people can't agree with this gridlock. So Hong Kongers demonstrated in large numbers then. But let's not forget, communism and religion do not mix. Especially in China. I mean, it's been only just a little bit over a decade ago that the Chinese overthrew Falun Gong. Falun Gong is a very peaceful religion. They were basically doing Tai Chi, and the Communist Party is just determined it could not withstand the competition. It is the same with Catholicism, with Christianity, with both branches of Christianity, Protestantism and Catholicism, and with any other religion. The communist leadership, and not just in China, all over the world, in Cuba, in the Soviet Union, does not co-inhabit well with religion. It's called totalitarian for a reason. It must have a totality of all the knowledge-making institutions.
You know, you make me think back to the end of the Cold War. People give much credit to Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, which is appropriate. But of course, Pope John Paul II, the Polish Pope, who went into Poland and said, "Be not afraid," and had the mass of 1 million people. In so many ways, he inspired the Solidarity movement. I mean, Lech Walesa, so many of them found encouragement and bravery from the Pope. Where is the Pope on China and Hong Kong? Where is today's Pope, has he made freedom of religion an issue? I have to say, I mean, I don't follow the current Pope closely, but I have not seen him vocal about the attacks on Christians in the Middle East or about Christianity and genuine Christianity, not communist sanctioned Catholic churches in China. Where is our current Pope on that?
Well, let me just say that you just put you put your finger on it. When the Pope, John Paul, went to Poland and said, "Be not afraid," and people lost their fear, that was the beginning of the end, right? Stalin very famously once boasted, "How many soldiers does the Pope have?" Well, his successors found out in the 80s when John Paul went to Poland. As for Pope Francis, he's trying to have a détente with the Chinese leadership. The Chinese Communist Party let him fly over China on his way to Korea a year ago, and Pope Francis is trying to extend an olive branch. But the Vatican is not going to give in on the appointment of bishops. It will not. It cannot. It is a Roman Catholic Church. The Patriotic Association cannot take it upon itself to appoint bishops. And in fact, when a high priest in actually a bishop in the Patriotic Association became a cardinal, he was excommunicated by this Pope, by the Vatican. So another bishop who belonged both, who had the blessing of both of the Vatican and the false made up Chinese Patriotic Association, when he let go of that link, he was put on the house arrest. Beijing too sends out signals: you will not defy us. If you will have your allegiance with the Vatican and not with Beijing, we will put you on the house arrest. So
Mr. Gonzalez,
Francis,
I'm afraid we're out of time today. I apologize. I'm enjoying this conversation so much. I look forward to continuing it another day. Mr. Gonzalez, we'll keep watching China too. Thanks for being here. More.